Good to see you all. So let's get started. Has anybody read the blog today or not yet? For merchandising, anyone? Yeah, a little bit. Okay, okay. You kind of went through it. So when it comes to merchandising, I want to talk about some metrics that is commonly used so we know what we're talking about when we're talking about merchandising. Does anybody knows what sales per square feet is? Sales per square feet. Amanda?
Basically, you would just take your sales, say, for the month and divide it by your square footage of the store, and that's your sales per square foot.
Awesome. That's an important metric. That's exactly it. Your sales and then the square footage of your stores. Okay, sell-through rate is where how fast items are selling versus the inventory we have. So if you receive 100 units and you only sell 20% of that, your sell-through rate is 20%. Anybody knows what basket affinity is? Basket affinity is where which products go with what. It's a fancy word for the combination, things that go well together. So maybe dates and walnuts, maybe some nuts that go well together. Lots of examples. And turnover rate. So that's how quickly you sell something. Now, I would say turnover rate is one of the most important metrics for us because any product that's sitting in your store and it's not moving, that's a problem. That's money sitting. It's like there's money right there. It's an asset. It could go bad. And if you don't sell it, then it's wasted. And if it sits in your store, that means you have an asset sitting. You're not using it. And if it's taking shelf space and it's not moving, then that's even worse because another thing can replace it and give you profit for it, basically. So turnover rate is an important, you would see it's an important metric that we look at. What you want is for products to move faster, to have a high turnover rate. So now let's talk about types of, I want to talk about two types of merchandising. I have seen people approach merchandising, types of merchandising, these two types of merchandising in different situations. And I want to talk about what makes these two different types of merchandising different and when to use which one. And those two types of merchandising are abundance and minimalistic type of merchandising. So abundance merchandising is what? When you have a lot of one item. Like think about when you go buy apples or fruits and whatever. There's a ton of apples. Or when you go to Costco and there's like a pallet of toilet paper right in the middle. That's abundance. It's big, it's right there, it's in your face. There's so many of it, it's falling over almost. And then you have minimalistic merchandising where you go to buy a watch and there's only one watch in display and that's the only one you see. Now, can anyone tell me the difference in terms of perception for each one of these? Eta?
By volunteering. Sure.
So when do you think a company should use abundance and when do you think it should be minimal?
Especially when we have holidays, let's say like Christmas.
Yeah.
Need that abundance.
Okay. That's a great point.
Yes.
Now, why is that abundance? Does anybody know? Do you know?
I guess it's in people's face. It sells faster, right? When it's in your face.
Speed. That's for things that you want to have a high turnover. If you want to have a high turnover with something, with a product, you want abundance, right? It signals that we sell a lot of this thing. Grab one. That's what it's, but that's what you're signaling, right? Seasonal promotions are a perfect example for this, right? You have goodie bags. You don't want one goodie bag. You want a full shelf of goodie bags, and you want it to be full and big and right there. Like, people need to notice it, that you're signaling that, hey, almost everybody who comes in here grabs one of these. That's what you're signaling with abundance. For example, cookies. What you want to do with cookies, they are impulse purchases. They are low margin items, but we want to sell a lot of it, right? And they're in addition to what we sell. So we want an abundance display when it comes to cookies, right? Another
think,
example, Marika, yes?
yeah, I think it's also giving the idea of the freshness too. Like someone like once told me that if you go to buy a chicken, then like
Yeah.
you see one store that having 100 chicken on the display window versus one store only have one chicken left on the window. Which one you think it's fresher? And I think with the store having this signal, like a lot of chicken in the shelf, like it gives the idea that we put this much because it's, popular and it's selling so fast. I'm going to be selling this off like in a day. But then with one, like, one chicken store, it's only like, this is only I have, like, it's
Yeah.
a left idea.
Absolutely, you nailed it. Freshness. Abundance also signals freshness. That's why when you go buy, again, fruits, and you see a couple of cucumbers left, you're not gonna grab it. You're gonna think this is not fresh. It's the end of whatever's there. But if you see a pile of cucumbers, you're definitely gonna grab a few, right? That's the idea, freshness. That's the idea behind our bulk bins. And if you've experienced this in your stores where if you move something to a bigger bulk bin in comparison to a smaller bulk bin next to it, that product is going to sell more, right? And it goes back to the abundance. You're signaling, hey, this product is fresh, it's popular, other people buy it, so you should buy it too. That's what you're signaling with abundance. Now, on the flip side, when do you use a minimalistic approach to merchandising?
I would say it's more related to luxury. I mean, for example, it's same season, even in Christmas, if we have the baskets, those are like for specific people and they feel like they are getting something really special for them or for the one they are going to give them.
Absolutely. That's it. That's exactly it. It's an high-end luxury item. On the extreme side of that, you have watches, right? Or jewelry or cars. You don't want to have, you walk into a Ferrari dealership and you see 20 red cars back to back. That signals that there is abundance of this, right? And you don't want that. Or if you want to go buy a Rolex or a nice jewelry and you see a ton of them, same size, same design, all the same next to one another, that's abundance, right? You don't want that signal for that luxury high-end item. So now it goes to gifting, where for us, there is gifting. Baskets are a high-ticket item. Obviously, we put them 1, 2, 3, 1 next to each other. And that's signaling something special about that basket. But it's not as extreme as a watch. Perhaps for Christmas or for the weekends, we want 20 baskets to signal abundance, to tell people, hey, we sell a lot of these. Grab one, right? Maybe sometimes you want your gala package to be unique and you only have 2, 3, 4 of it. But if one day you switch, you make 50 gala baskets, gala trays, 50 of them, and fill up a shelf with gala baskets, I bet you anything you're going to sell much more of it, than you do now, maybe double or triple the sale of it. So yeah, on one hand, if you want to signal exclusivity, you want to signal uniqueness, luxury, then you put one or two, maybe our saffron packages, the $200 basket or to a $200 size. Is that 20 grams or 50, 100 grams? Yeah, that one, right? 100 grams. You want to have one or two of that, maybe, right? Maybe not. Maybe your strategy is to tell people that we sell a lot of this. Maybe you want to push people. Maybe everybody's buying $50 gram saffron, and you want to tell them, signal that, hey, more people are buying the 100 gram package. As long as you know that, as long as you know what you're doing when you're displaying items, right? That's what matters. And especially if you have a limited edition. Now we're working, Megan is working on some new packages. I think there's some crates that she's working on that's going to be maybe $200, $300. Maybe we'll only have 2 of those displayed. Generally speaking, though, you don't see a whole lot of minimalistic display when it comes to food or food products. Even as high-end as it is, we're obviously not going to ever put a pallet in the middle of a store and sell something like Costco does. But at the same time, we're never going to be displaying something like a watch. I don't think we will, unless we bring something that's like $1,000. Maybe we do it then. But typically speaking, we do a lot of abundance merchandising and sometimes something in between abundance and really minimalistic approach. Now, next important thing with display is the height of a product, right? In retail, they say eye level is buy level. Eye level is buy level. So if something at your eye level, you're going to sell it more. In fact, there's some research in grocery stores that says 70% of shelf sales in grocery stores that they did research on, 70% of their sales are from eye level. Imagine that. Right? That's 1 or 2 shelves eye level, probably 20% of the shelf, or maybe 30% of the shelf, of all the shelves. And that's selling 70% of the store's merchandise.
That's what they did, Amir, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
That's what they did now with the Canada-US war. Like all the Canadian products were placed at eye level.
Okay,
They were selling more
smart.
too, yeah.
That's smart. Or is it smart? Maybe if people are already looking for Canadian products, I don't know, maybe they could have put it somewhere that people look for.
I thought they paid premium, no? Like
Yes,
to
retailers.
be at that level too on retail.
Yeah. Retailers in certain sections of a grocery store charge
Yeah.
for displaying. And if you want your products at the eye level, you need to pay more for it. Right? Because it sells more. You know, if you are, say, if you you sell peanut butter or jam, and there's 100 different brands in the store. If you're not at the eye level, chances are you're not selling that well. So now knowing that, next time you go shopping, don't just look at eye level. Maybe stuff at the bottom are better than the ones in front of your eyes. Now, what do we do with that information? Any idea? Can you give me a relevant example in a store that we could work with?
Say placing new products at eye level.
Yes. Yeah. New rollouts. If we have something new and we want to introduce it, maybe a new packaging. Maybe someone maybe I walk into a store and I say, how's your gala package doing? and say, oh, it's not that great. Okay, have you put it at eye level yet? Is that why it's not doing well? Have you done abundance merchandising? Yeah. Maybe not. So you need to consider that. Okay, so eye level merchandising, something new. You can put new products in there. What else would you put at eye level?
Don't sell very well.
The more profitable items,
Profitable items, yes.
product
Where's
that
the
we
profit
don't
at?
regularly sell that much, and we want to push them to go.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, push items. We call those push items. For example, you might get an email from Amanda or Amir saying, hey, we got too much of this product, let's push it. And an option to do it, especially if it's a good product that does sell anyways, you want to put it at eye level. That's important. Now, all of this is
Rotate some of the items, because that's what I've been doing. So some products that are new, like I rotate to eye level, and then once I know they start selling them a lot, I move them up, and then I put something else. So just play around with it, yeah.
perfect. You know, a part of merchandising increases sales. Like every grocer knows this. Every retail store knows this. You increase sales through a part of the reason, for example, Lonzo does so well is because they have a really good eye on merchandising. They really think about every single square inch of a display. You know, if they put some, and it's all about profit. You know, you want to turn and it's all about sales, right? If something's not selling and it's occupying prime real estate, right? You change it. You put a high profit item there. So rotation is important. You test something, eye level. Does it move? Does it not move? Sometimes you have to move an item.
And I think also like one of the like really important things to adding on is I have seen like a lot of stores is not following up with a result like after they are moving the item from like A to B. So like, you know, merchandising is not just about being creative, but also to follow up what's the actual result and impact, like, you know, after you did whatever the thing that you did. So moving the item, like in new items, having that on the eye level shelves, okay, it's sold and it's kind of like captured the clientele that who likes that product, moving to the different spot, is it impacting to the sales?
Absolutely. That's a great point. It's not a one-time task. It's not a one-time task. It's a daily, day in, day out task with merchandising. A good store manager, and I'm hoping to systemize this eventually. Eventually, I want to attach a number and reports to these. But traditionally, I remember when growing up, when my dad's store a long time ago, when I was 7, 6, 7, 8 years old, he was always experimenting. He would do little packages by the counter. Then he would tell me, hey, move these to a different shelf. Then he was always thinking where to, like, he would move. The products were in sacks of nuts and they didn't have a lid or anything back there. Nobody cared back then. I think viruses didn't exist back in the days like they do now. So he would move the sacks around the store to see how much each one would move, and he always had it in his head. But when I was in a store, I would write it down. I would experiment with a product and just take note, right? Maybe put something at eye level, see how many I saw. Obviously, you can't keep 300 products in your head. You can't, right? But I know, and Kay mentioned rotating items all the time. I know that's a good strategy for a lot of stores, a lot of items and a lot of sections. But over time, if you figure out a good place, the best spot for a category of products, leave it there. If you notice that, for example, home essential packs, right? Family packs, they're selling in a certain place better with your abundance merchandising, with the right item being at the eye level, then leave it there. If you're packaging, pre-packaging, for example, dry fruits, some stores sell a lot of pre-packaged dried fruits. That package mixed of dry fruits, I personally, when I go shop, I grab the packaged dry fruits. Right? But big packages, like that's a $30, $40 item. That really adds to the basket size. If you find a good spot for a big pack of dried fruits, leave it there. You know, it's selling there. Right? Customers are used to it. They pick it up. It's an essential item. You leave it there. It's the same thing where you always know when you walk into a grocery store where Coke is, where Pepsi is. Like they don't move that. It's an essential item. Like people go, I mean, essential for some people. People just go grab. You know? All right. Does anybody know what end cap is? End cap of a store, of a row of shelves? It's basically, you know, the shelves in the grocery stores at the end of each tail end of a row of shelves, there are more shelves, like facing the other way, right? So if you have shelves here, at the very end of it, facing the other way, there are more shelves. They're called end caps. And that's a prominent location, or it's a good location for a lot of items because it gets more attention. We don't really have end caps, but I just wanted to explain what it is because we could potentially have it, right? And Negin, in your designs, you might incorporate that in the future with our islands, right? Where you have an island and on each side of the island, you could put displays if the store has enough room. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, you mentioned everything for eye level or end caps or good locations right at the counter. These are very important locations, and you have your seasonal product, you have your higher margin products, you have your new product launches, and then you also have products that people come in and grab, right? There are items, walnuts, that's a high seller. Those are products that you put in a location, people know where it is, and what you could do now is put other products next to those items. Now, okay, what is cross merchandising?
Put a tea and honey together.
That's cross merchandising. Simple. Remember that metric we talked about, product affinity? Putting two items together, two items that match, right? Whole Foods does this really well. And I don't remember the number, but they've increased sales basket size by a crazy amount just using cross merchandising. And that's when you put two products together. For example, walnut sells really well. You know, what can we put next to walnuts, you know, to sell it well? What is it that we can put in there with walnuts to sell it, right? Other items, or your gift packages. If you're selling, say, a gift tray, what goes well with that? Maybe cookies? Those are the things that you are always thinking about. If you are selling your roasted cashews really well in your store, maybe you can put a table next to it and add bags of dried fruits. That's called cross-selling. It's an example, right? So now I'm going to talk about that table that I talked about, that I mentioned right now. So we know what cross merchandising is. We know what end caps are. Now let's talk about customer flow. Anyone knows what customer flow is?
The journey that the customer is taking through the store.
Absolutely. That's customer flow.
Fitness together so they could go like that.
So, It's a shopping experience, like easy, making the easy flow for the customer. So kind of like, you have the dried fruits going to the kitchen area or the raw item, not jumping from like raw sweets, like, all the different items, like next to each other, but it has sort of there's a kind of the
There's-
mix between the items.
You're talking about wayfinding. Yes. Yes, that goes into customer flow. So customer flow is where customers walk. And wayfinding is marking those areas and giving it some sense. So customers are not confused. They're not lost. Now, why is customer flow important? Why is it important to know where customers are walking?
Because in that way, we can allocate the products we want them to see first. And at the end, just whatever they can grab, like something easy to buy, maybe on the deals. But we need to put everything in a way that they walk where we want them to walk first.
Bingo. So you guys all know in your stores, do you know what single point of the store, aside from your POS? Everybody ends up at the POS. Aside from the POS, what single point in the store gets the most traffic? Does everybody know that?
End of the store,
Or the
at the very end.
Which? Okay, we're talking about Burnaby. We're walking in, POS cash registers at your left side, so exclude that. So you're talking end where the roaster is, or end on the other side?
The other side.
So there are points in the store that create a natural pause. When I was running a store, what I would do was I would sit back and watch where customers naturally pause. You can figure this out in half a day. There's probably 2, 3, 4 points of the store where customers come in and pause. Sometimes, for example, in Denman, it's at the entrance where you put that table. People walk in, they pause right there to decide to go left or right. That's a natural pause. Then they go through the hallway. At a corner, they decide, like if they go through the middle, they decide whether to go left or right. So you need to observe. Different places are different. And this is the whole idea of IKEA. IKEA is based on this retail concept. They design the flow of customers. They design the natural pauses in the store. They know where you're going to pause, where you're going to look. Everything's on purpose. Whereas in our store, it's not baked into the design yet, but there are natural pauses in the store. And again, this is very important because where there is a natural pause, you can put a table. If there is a shelf existing, you can put a shelf. Those natural pauses are where you could sell good items. So pay attention to your natural pauses in the store in the next few days. Make sure where they are and see if they're taking advantage of it. Do you have some product that doesn't move, or some product that's, not that important? No, don't want to say important, but not that. For example, if you're putting like candied papaya where you have a natural pause, are you really taking advantage of that natural pause? Whereas if you put a high margin product, something that sells really well, right? Something that's a complement to other products, for example, packages of dried fruits. I keep mentioning that because there's potential for packages of dried fruits. If you do big packs of dried fruits, maybe in goodie bags, long, that's a $20, $25 item. That's how you increase basket size. I walked in to buy some walnuts and I see a nice package of a big package of dry fruits that's $20. I just grab it. Are we taking advantage of natural pauses with products that sell really well? Right? With products that move, the products that people just take. Like, for example, if you, and stores are different, if you sell a lot of chocolate, are they placed where you have a natural pause? If you want to sell more cookies, for example, why not have an abundance display, right? Why not test an abundance display style with the cookies? Maybe jam cookies. Maybe order 50 jam cookies, place it at a natural pause, and watch it move. Test it. Any feedback there? Okay. Have you done this before with the
Yes.
natural pause?
So now with the new layout, I noticed they stop at the first island. So I look at to see which items I was not selling that could give me the most profit. I didn't sell a lot of seats. So I decided to put all my seats in the front, put the containers to attract customers too.
Yeah.
And color. I put like pomelo, the apricots on the other side to get the customers to notice the color.
Okay. Very
And
good.
my blind area at the back, I put the chocolate because the chocolate brings people in and I want them to go all the way to the back. So now they go all the way to the back to get the chocolate and they see my blind area.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For example, Kitilano, Hamza, you have your roasted products at the front. That might cause people to stop there, buy their roasted nuts and leave. You know, so a good experiment for your store would be to take those products to the back. That's your natural pause. Put some items there that you think has potential, but is not moving as well as it should. Guys, narrow in on multiple items. Don't make this complicated. You're not supposed to move all 300 items. Like, you're not supposed to move candied papaya, right? Unless we're pushing it, unless somebody tells you that's what we're gonna move, right? You're not necessarily like, that's not a successful strategy. If you work on 10 items and then maybe start from 3 items and increase the sale of your 3 items, that's gonna add to your bottom line. Like your roasted products, are there things you could do to increase the dried fruits or roasted items? Or like start with 5, 6, 7 items. Or like start with a category. Right?
And they
And
do
then-
come to the roasted items because I had a customer a couple days ago who comes all the way to my roasted nuts and he's like, well, always stop here. I might as well just look around for today because I always tell them, is there anything new you would like to sample? Would you like to look around? And he's like, well, yeah, I'm alone today. So he look around for the first time. But they do come all the way to the back for the roasted nuts. So if you have one at
Perfect.
the front, it's not a good placement.
Yeah, perfect. Because you're thinking about the customer flow.
Yeah.
Right? Now, pay attention, guys. If you see customers coming to, like, stay back and watch customers. You can even ask their feedback. Hey, what do you think of where we put things? If you see somebody's lost, or get their feedback, or just watch them. Watch them, see where they go, where they pause. Are they coming to a certain point and leaving?
I think with that, Denman does, I think, very well in that sense. So how the store layout of the Denman location, it goes like 3 lines of the bean. And then from the right side, it started like, once like you enter the first bean on the right side, you see the lime and saffron kernel mix. At the end of that line, you see the sunflower seed. And the next line goes to lime and saffron cashew. And next it goes to Persian figs and pistachio and the Yalda mix that they have. Those are the 6 items they put it at the end of the each line of the beans. So like they kind of get all the Persian clientele to walking all the way in the stores.
Yeah.
They don't miss anything in the store.
Got it. So they're putting all the popular items at the end caps
Yes.
of those rows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Daiho and Mariam, they knows very well in terms of like how much they have been increasing the sales by doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a huge impact for their store.
Awesome. Now, Daiho and Mariam, when you are watching customers at their natural pause, go stand there and look around. What's at eye level? Can you improve that merchandising in that area and have some ideas there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we pay attention to the customers, the place that they stand more. So
Mhm.
they catch their eyes or they spend more time, let's say, in that area, but we always check the data. And we see that which item we couldn't sell very well in a month. So we can control in this way which product we should just like substitute and change. So, and the amazing thing is that me and Daiho saw that after 2 months, we could upsell the products that we couldn't sell in a month by just changing the place. And we get a confidence that we can control the sale. And yeah, by just changing.
Honestly, with merchandising, you can increase your sales a massive amount. You're right. Like I'm talking 20, 30%. There's a science with even online, with online stores, conversion rate optimization, CRO, is about just this, optimizing customer flow, traffic. How do you sell more items? And make it your goal for the next 2-3 months. For example, we're going to try to increase the sale of mixed dried fruits. Let's find the best spot for it. For a packaged mixed dried fruits. Yeah.
Shouldn't we put the like popular item in front to hook the customer in our store?
Yeah, that's a good idea for a new store.
Mhm.
Or a store where you have new people walking in all the time. It's a good idea for a new store.
After that, change it.
After your store matures, that you start to see a lot of people come to your first row, grab their stuff and they leave. Any other feedback, guys, on this? Anything to add?
Yeah. We're thinking about the natural pause. So I think we can create the natural pause. Right? So
Absolutely. Negin, be mindful of what I mentioned. It's not about, yes, you can create a natural pause. But what I'm telling everybody here is to just sit back and observe where the natural pause is. Even in a new store, Adel needs to sit back and observe where people pause, because people don't run through the store. They pause naturally somewhere. And there are places people pause more than other places. Right? But here I'm talking about observing where your natural pauses are and taking advantage of it. Right? For example, Denman, when I walk in, there's a nice table there, and typically you put samples there. Have you tried doing an abundance display of products instead of samples? I would try that and see what I get.
Yes,
You know,
before.
yeah.
Yeah, we put some products on Christmas time on the
Yeah.
on the sample table,
What
and
did you put?
we sold. We put a
Basket.
baskets and Turkish delights cubes too. And we sold a lot.
Perfect.
I think the basket was such a successful example of that scenario that they put a bunch of the basket on that table, and that's the first thing that people see when they walk into the store.
Yeah, maybe you should do that every weekend. Why aren't we doing it every weekend? That's merchandising. It's using those opportunities. Let's put baskets. Let's put dry fruits. Let's put something else. Not just samples. Let's put it, what are some other natural pauses? Like, it's about that, it's a mindset of thinking, of constantly thinking where to put items to increase sales. But maybe we could, I mean, we can't be like IKEA. That's the whole business concept is designed around, you know, flow and natural pauses and wayfinding. And I mean, not every business is like that. Most businesses, they design the space and then they see, like, you go to Starbucks, you know, they have, you know, the counter stuff, but then there is that lineup where people stand, they have shelves there. And then once in a while you see a random island in the middle of the store. Why is that? Why did it put it there? Why not to the right? Why not to the left? Because of a natural pause that people do. Yeah. So yes, Niggy, you can create it, but you don't have to. You can just take advantage of existing ones. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'll see you next week. We're going to talk about the science of self-confidence next week. And then we'll take a break from the webinars and go back to it a month and a half later. All right. Good to see you all. Take
Have
care.
a good day. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.